Hello and welcome to this bonus video in our D6 against everything repertoire. I'm making this one because I just got my very first channel supporter, Hippie Sean. He wrote, "I always play Czech Pirc Defense for black. Would love your insights on the opening." So Sean, thank you for your support. This video is for you and everyone who would like to try out an alternative to our main repertoire. As always, you can check out my attached public Licha study down below in description for more variations. So let's begin. How does this Czech Pirc actually start? It's mainly against e4. We play our d6 against everything, d4, knight f6, knight c3, and here our main move in our repertoire is knight bd7, of course, as we know, to support e5, yeah, and to finish the first stage of developing the knights. But there is a nice alternative if you like to mix it up a bit and surprise your opponent in c6. This is kind of old school weapon. It's called the Czech Pirc Defense. So it's a very nice alternative. So what does this move do? It prepares the queen going to c7 or a5. It introduces also an idea of sometimes bishop g4 and closing the center, putting the pawns on the light squares. And it also already prepares b5 expansion. Yeah, if white like carelessly plays bishop c4, we can hit it immediately with queenside expansion, for example. So couple ideas, yeah, similar to what we usually play with the c6, but it comes later. Yeah, here we play it immediately. So what are the main kind of systems for white? Well, I would say the most dangerous is this still Austrian attack. We'll look at it later. But the most popular move you could expect at lower levels would be just simple development, like knight f3, the most popular and natural move. So what do I suggest here to play? There are two moves. One is like old school way, bishop g4. But idea is bring this bishop outside the pawn chain, because we will play e6 and d5, put the pawns on light squares, kind of going French style structure. But it's still playable at amateur level, I would say, but prepared opponents and engine shows advantage for white. So you can maybe try it on your own, see how it works. But according to engines, white will get advantage against this move. So the main move I will suggest is, we'll take a look later at this bishop g4, but first let's see queen a5. This is the move I suggest here, and we'll do the same move actually against Austrian attack as well. So what do we do here? We pin the knight, yeah, so knight e4 actually is a threat. So some people might just blunder the pawn, for example, here, yeah. You have to be attentive to take out advantage of such opportunities. And the most important thing I would say is it prepares e5. We have to strike in the center anyways, yeah. So queen a5 supports this e5 move. So let's see what white can do here. Well, I would say couple moves here. Bishop d3, let's see. Well, of course, they defended the pawn now, so we go for our main plan, e5. Anytime they take the pawn, this is not good. Basically, they're giving up their central ambitions by exchanging this pawn to this, yeah, because d6 will take its place on e5. So d5, not a good idea, yeah. We just equalize in the center immediately and we're already fine. So castles. And what we do, we play similarly like in Philidor in our main repertoire. Yeah, we just finish development, and next is castles, probably, yeah. And we'll play bishop g4 if needed, or knight bd7. You can basically improvise. I don't think you need to know more theory than this. Queen, if it's hit at any moment, can always come back to c7. For example, if he plays bishop d2, you can come back to c7. So this bishop d3 line, what next? Bishop c4, yeah, we looked at. Just drops a pawn, and any other move, yeah. Any other like bad move which does not defend e4 will drop the pawn. So bishop d2 probably I would expect this most, because we strangely put the queen early on out in the game, yeah, so they might want to hit our queen. But then we kind of provoke this move. We just easily drop back the queen to c7 and play again e5, and this bishop is kind of misplaced here on d2. It blocks the queen, and we play e5 anyway, and we're kind of transposing back to, I would say, Pirc defense. Yeah, we could also put the bishop out if needed, so you can improvise from here. Okay, so that was queen a5, but let's look now at this old school Czech Pirc way people used to play many years ago. So as described, yeah, previously, as I mentioned, this is like the original Czech Pirc move, but according to modern engine it doesn't work so well. The critical move is chasing the bishop. So, but before that, let's see some other moves. So for example, bishop out here, not a good move. It just runs straight into what we already wanted to do, to put the pawns on the light squares. d5, and we get, with the tempo, yeah, some French structure. If they play e5, we always drop the knight here, then push c5, bring the other knight, and you see in French the trouble is always this bishop, which would be on c8 at that moment. So, but we already got it out here, yeah, so we can at any moment exchange it, this bad bishop, yeah, now that we put the pawns on light squares. So we're doing great. So what about some bishop e3 maybe? So any dark square bishop development really doesn't hinder our plan of putting pawns on light squares. So we do that. Bishop e2, d5, and we attack the center. And again, we get a nice French structure here. Okay. What about bishop e2? Just a normal move. Many guys will play this on autopilot, I think, because it just kind of blocks our pin. So we do e6. Next plan is bishop here and d5. So white could play, for example, castle, yeah, and we start with bishop e7. Don't go immediately d5, because there is some line where white goes aggressive like this, and it's a bit of a trouble for us because their queen is coming very fast to the king side. For example, here it doesn't really help because queen will get here anyway, and this pawn is pinned, so that might be trouble. That's why we play bishop e7 first, to kind of then play d5, and they won't have this knight g5 option. So, and yeah, then we go d5 with French ideas, yeah. So just remember this bishop e7 before d5 in this variation. So what else could be played? Instead of castles, maybe h3. Here we can even take if needed and play this French structure again. Yeah, we got rid of our bad bishop. Very solid for black. But maybe a more ambitious move is just not take immediately. Well, white could maybe deny us this d5 move, yeah, by pushing d5, but then we push e5. And this variation, we provoke g4. Probably white will have to castle queenside, yeah, but because they push the pawns too far. Okay, this line. Maybe they could stop us from going d5, like they play d5 themselves, but then we know again, we play e5, and we just develop normally with bishop e7 castles. It reminds me a bit of what we play in our main repertoire, yeah, like Philidor. We're gonna later exchange, yeah, destroy their center on d5, kind of liquidate there. So, okay, so let's come back now here, I think. Yeah, not bishop e2. Let's come back to our main move. So this is the problem of this variation. h3 move, chasing the bishop away. We could maybe take, it's possible, but white has to know now, for example, d5 move to gain advantage. Yeah, not letting us play d5. And here white is better, I think. Yeah, they're gonna castle queenside. They have space advantage. So bishop f3 can experiment with, but main try is bishop h5. And now best for white, if they don't know, like on lower levels they might not know this, but this is the plan for white to gain an advantage. They go queen e2, very important move, to defend here and basically to prepare queenside castling. Yeah, they just need to move the bishop, and they will also expand on the king side with these pawns. So we play our plan, yeah, putting pawns on light squares, but now they're trying h4 to trap our bishop. We have to respond h5, drop the knight here, and now two good moves for white. Bishop h3 with intention d5, something like this basically transposes what we will be looking here immediately with d5. We have to take, we have to push e5, and then bishop h3, and white has basically to know all these moves to gain advantage. But on lower levels, I don't think many guys will know until here. Yeah, they might not even know this g4 move to chase the bishop. So here white has a solid advantage, I would say. Castle engine gives a kind of +1 almost for white. So yeah, because they're kind of more actively developed, and but still, like on amateur level, it's a fighting game, I would say. So don't worry too much if you want to play this. Yeah, on higher, like master level, it might be difficult, yeah, but still many blunders on amateur level might happen from this position. So don't worry too much. So you could play this bishop g4, although our main recommendation is queen a5. Okay, now let's look at the Austrian attack. So now we look at Austrian attack. The most critical, I think, choice against Czech Pirc and other Pircs, but only stronger prepared guys will know this. On lower level, I still would expect mostly knight f3. So f4. What is white intention? They want to take over the space, over the center, yeah, and later even push e5 to drive us back. So we have to be very careful here and fight back for the center. So the move I suggest is queen a5, same move as we play against knight f3. We pin the knight, we threaten knight e4, and in some moments we will play e5. So bishop d3 is the main move, but here of course white could just blunder the pawn, yeah, like in Blitz online, or I don't know, Bullet wouldn't suggest playing Bullet, but yeah, people might just miss this pin. On lower levels, yeah, we take the free pawn then. Other moves instead of bishop d3 are bishop d2, e5, and yeah, these are the two main ones. So let's look at first maybe bishop d2 move. So we play e5, our standard reply. We have to fight for the center. And now white could maybe liquidate in the center, or play knight f3, for example. If they play knight d5, this is not dangerous. We just drop back the queen to defend our knight. And if this exchange happens, it's kind of okay for black. Yeah, they just exchange one piece. You can investigate more on your own with engine here from this position, but black I don't think has many issues here. So knight d5, immediate jump, not really dangerous. What if they take the pawn in some ways? Yeah, let's see if they liquidate in the center. They could again do this move, but it's not dangerous. Again, we kind of can take the pawn even. So maybe let's look at this other capture here, and let's say they capture again. What do we do? Just don't take back with the queen, because you're gonna get under tempos, yeah, and the queen has to move again. So first, always remember, we want to take with the knight, so we go knight g4. We want to take back with the knight and have this awesome knight in the center. So knight f3 can happen, but then we can even, yeah, white has some troubles even here. For example, queen e2. They might get in trouble. Now we want to make a fork even. So, or if they play bishop c4, we might go even for white maybe has some compensation, castling long and attacking us, but yeah, this is a complete like kind of mess. So what if they play I don't know, let's see the other capture. What if they play knight f3? Yeah, we looked at. Maybe let's look at f5, for example. What do we do when they play that move? Well, here we can hit both pawns actually, yeah, with the support of the knight. And if they go here, we can actually take. There is no knight a4 trapping the queen because the queen escapes here. And the knight f3, we just escape with the queen. Yeah, they win back the pawn, but we exchange the active knight and we're doing okay because the center will be blocked. So f5 doesn't quite work. Okay, so what are some other moves? So bishop d2, we know this e5. Instead of bishop d2, and by the way, you can also like find more moves in the study. I'm not covering like everything in this video, so you can look there for more variations if you need to prepare for a game, for example, yeah, and do your own engine analysis a bit. So other move instead of bishop d2 is e5. I would say this is a very principled and tricky way. We need to jump with the knight now on e4, and white has some moves. For example, bishop d2 would not be great. This helps us out because we can eliminate this bishop, play d5, and go with a good French. We'll play c5, for example. Yeah, a couple more moves, c5 and knight c6, and we got a good French for us. So bishop d2 not really a problem. What about knight f3? Actually, this is probably one of the best moves for white. Yeah, they ignore this threat. Seems like we can just take the knight, but it would not actually be a very good idea to grab this pawn, because white will have amazing development. You see, only our queen is developed, and now they're almost playing like the middle game. Yeah, we're still in the opening. Look at this back rank fest for us. Yeah, so I wouldn't take such poison pawn. After knight f3, let's play d5. Yeah, let's anchor this knight, and if we get pressured, maybe just take it now, but don't take the pawn. Don't take the pawn with the queen. And just do a similar thing like in French defense. Push the c5. We can even close the center. Yeah, gain a tempo and close the center. And now our king, since the center got closed, will stay a bit here. We might even castle long side, yeah, if white starts preparing f5 at some moment. So the position is closed. We're okay here. We will finish development. So knight f3, yeah, a very tricky move. Well, I would expect most people will play queen f3 if they know this line. So queen f3, and here we have two suggestions, but the simplest one is knight c3. The other is d5. We'll quickly look at that soon. Knight c3 is a very simple solution I found with engine, and we just take this knight. Yeah, if they want to trade queens, okay, go ahead, and we have solved kind of opening problems. Yeah. So they will most likely try to retake back this way, but we bring out the bishop now. c2 is hit, so they take with the bishop. If they take with the pawn, we might be greedy and take this pawn, yeah, and let white prove their compensation. Of course, they have some play for this pawn. For example, this is a very complicated position, but we will slowly develop. Yeah, e6 knight coming out, so we have a pawn already, so let them prove their compensation. If they take with the bishop, then a very excellent move is queen d5, suggesting queen trades, and probably white will have to accept that. So they trade the queens. Yeah, if they don't trade, for example, they go castles long, that would be a mistake. Yeah, we take this pawn that was hanging. If they don't trade and play queen f2, we just normally develop, and here engine even shows some slight advantage for black because we have a very nice coordination. Bishop is coming out here and so on. Yeah, queen e4 check, picking the pawn is also a threat, so already good. Yeah, so white has to trade the queens and take this pawn, but very important moment, don't take back and double your pawns. Play e6. We want to take back with the piece and not mess up our pawn structure. So a bishop b5 check might be a variation. Here engine move is even king d8. You could play knight c6 and grab the pawn like with this idea. If they go here, yeah, we are taking this pawn anyway. Don't worry, yeah, just prevent this knight going here, and we're gonna win it back. But even an improvement is this king d8. Why we play this? We want to take with the bishop. It's an endgame, so don't worry about castling, yeah. So what if they play here? We just take it. If knight comes in, we go king e7, protecting everything. If, for example, they try to defend, yeah, instead of playing the knight, we can just kick this bishop out to prepare knight c6 so they cannot take here. And we're hitting this bishop, we're hitting this pawn. So white might even be worse here, actually. So I'm gonna win the pawn back easily, and white has some weaknesses already made, some strange moves, yeah, like according to position. So a very simple solution, I think, against this variation, knight c3. Modern theory is d5 for more complex game, and then you have so many like gambits here. For example, you could play f5, you could play g6, maybe you can investigate on your own. Knight a6 is the move. If you play d5, maybe I would recommend c5, this gambit, to try out and blitz rapid. We sacrifice a pawn like this to gain some compensation in development, active pieces, some diagonals, yeah, like knight c6, e6, bishop coming out very fast. Engines showing tiny edge for white, which means actually there is a compensation for the pawn. Also, we're hitting c2, so you could try out playing with this. But if you want a simple solution, just play knight c3. Okay, so let's come back to the main line. I think this is the most dangerous move, bishop d3. What do we play? Of course, we have to fight for the center. Otherwise, white will overwhelm us with this knight f3, e5 ideas. So we have to strike in the center. Now knight f3. Okay, if they liquidate in the center, like this, we could even put up such an idea. Just quickly castle. The only move to watch out is this exchange sacrifice, I think, but it doesn't work. Yeah, now they want queen g4 mate coming up, but we're just in time to defend everything. Here, yeah, we defend. If they liquidate like everything here, yeah, then remember again, we don't take with the queen. We go and take with the knight, this pawn first. So for example, the line could happen like this. We take, now our queen is okay because it cannot be hit anymore. They want to play bishop f4, so we deny them that, prevents bishop f4. They want to play it again, but then we can say, okay, play it again, yeah, but we are gonna put the knight on e5, so they most likely will castle long, but we can drop the queen back out of danger and put the knight there instead, yeah, with the even slight advantage for black, because white has this isolated pawn. So if they don't take yet, try to push by, like gaining some kingside space, then we have to do with our own counterplay. Yeah, remember the c6 idea was at some moment push b5, so we gain our play there, and we're waiting for white to castle. Whenever they castle, then we'll castle as well short. If they don't castle, we are not in a rush to castle because they might throw some pawns at us, yeah, so be careful about that. So f5 not really working. What about knight f3? Here we just defend the center. For example, again they play f5. Now we castle since they castled already, and b5, and we get our own counterplay on the queen side. Engine shows some slight advantage for white, but we have our own play. Important not to go passive. Yeah, we have our own counterplay on the queen side. So let's come back to this knight f3 main move. Here many moves are playable for black. I checked the theory. Main move is bishop g4. But I don't like to give up this bishop so early. Yeah, they might play at some moment h3, and we'll have to trade it. So I don't like to give it away so fast. I like this central play. E takes d4. This is like a move often played by Grandmaster Jacobian, and I think it's a more challenging move than bishop g4 to kind of fight in the center. make the game more complex. Here g6 is also playable. You can investigate more on your own, like some sort of King's Indian maybe, yeah, Pirc style of play. Queen b6 is the move I like. And now white has two retreats basically. They could go knight f3 or knight b3. Just to mention, on the Butcher YouTube channel, he found the best move for white, I think, from his own practice, bishop e2. So if opponent is super well prepared, he might know this move, but like on amateur level, I don't expect that. Then black could play something like this: bishop f3, knight c5. White is better according to engine, but like on lower than master level, I think this is still a fighting game. Yeah, anything can happen here. White has some advantage, but it's still a fighting game, so that's how we play. But most likely white will retreat the knight in this position, so let's check knight f3, for example. Here we just simply, yeah, now they cannot even castle, and they cannot move this bishop because always b2 will be hanging, so I think knight b3 is certainly the better move. We can just finish development simply here. Queen e2, and we just castle, yeah. If rook b1, then that means they no longer can castle on the queen side. We can just finish, yeah, and whenever our queen is hit, we know where to go. Queen c7, and we have finished development, and then we can do our own plan, yeah, advance on the queen side. So this is a nice play, but of course knight b3 is the main move, kind of blocking, yeah, access to b2 and preparing perhaps, yeah, to kick our queen and castle long. So we go a5, very typical move against such knight placements, and we want to go a4, so probably white has to go a4 to stop that. If they go queen e2, then a4, and bishop e3. You can check more knight d2 move in the study. It's a very crazy theory, but I wouldn't expect anyone would, many people would just play bishop e3 first, I think. So queen b4 is a very nice move, and here a very complex line. Yeah, many other moves are playable as well, but this is kind of the critical move. We have to know what to do here. It looks like our queen is trapped, but we have a trick here. We can sack the queen for bishop, for knight and rook, like this. And actually we're even winning the game unexpectedly, yeah, because the rook is hanging. So this is actually, white is thinking they're setting a trap for us, but they got trapped themselves. If they move the king, they lose the rook. If they block the check, they lose even more, yeah. So a3 is a mistake actually, so they should play, I guess, castling, I think, is a very tricky move. According to engine, if takes the knight, then they play this sort of move, and now our rook is hanging. Be very careful. If we take the rook, we're getting our queen trapped, or actually we're getting like very risky position here. According to engine, yeah, this might be even lost for black. So some very tricky moves. You can check more in the Licha study, but let's get back to our main move. Yeah, they stop a4, knight a6, we go for b4, weak square, and we also have bishop g4 incoming if needed. So that's how we go, yeah, bishop g4, queen here, and we get excellent play. If they try to trap, we have to be careful, yeah, this bishop is out, not hitting anything. We might get trapped with this move, but we have d5 resource, and this bishop will get out, yeah, we blow up the center. And so what I would say, the best move probably is not knight b3, but bishop e2, this suggested move by Perunovic, Maya Perunovic, in his channel. I found, yeah, how he's showing a video how to beat Czech Pirc. So he's suggesting this move. So you might analyze more with engine, but I would suggest just simple development, like bringing the knight out here and play normal game. White has some advantage, yeah, I wouldn't lie. So all right, so now let's look at some rarer lines for white. So what are the rarer moves? I wouldn't analyze like many other moves like g3. You can watch the main course, yeah, like sidelines, and check there, because it most likely will transpose. c6 is part of our repertoire anyway, so we will most likely get some kind of Philidor and something, yeah, like against any other moves. I just wanted to mention this f3 or bishop e3 idea for white. So let's start with f3. White is playing kind of English attack, yeah, bishop e3, queen d2, or Zemish, yeah, as you would call it. So how do we respond with black? We could, of course, kind of transpose back to what we usually play, knight bd7 e5. But here is a kind of, if you want to keep it Czech Pirc style, we can have this queen b6 move, kind of preventing in a way, yeah, discouraging this bishop e3 move, because b2 will be hanging. So white might go with various moves here. a3, for example, yeah, setting up this bishop e3 anyway. Be very careful now, yeah. Why queen b2 doesn't work? Can you tell me? Pause the video. Of course, this is like a famous trap of the queen. We have to be very careful of such poison pawns. So this a3 is a typical setting up this trap. So they could play bishop e3, but then we just developed normally, yeah. They couldn't play d5 anyway. Now bishop is hanging, so they play something like this, and at some moment we're gonna play c5 even, kind of get this even this structure. So we're doing okay here. What about some other moves? a3, knight g2 maybe, yeah, but then we go for some kind of French, yeah, since they kind of misplaced their pieces, they blocked their bishop. We can play a bit slowly as well. We could set up this French structure then, yeah, typical in Pirc, Czech Pirc style. For example, already this pawn at some moment might get in trouble, yeah. So bishop g5, we could get again typical French, and we'll play c5, knight c6, and they blocked their pieces, so this is fine. Bishop e3 immediately, yeah, still they play this, they sack this pawn. We have to take it now, actually. We take it and we get out of the queen. White has some compensation, I think, but not full compensation, and black just needs to consolidate in catching up in development. For example, queen d2, bring out the rook. We can often come back with the queen if needed, and we might even play this bishop fianchetto. And the moment we're castled with black, I think we're just a pawn up. So bishop e3 doesn't quite work. Bishop c4 might be a move, but then it runs on typical Czech Pirc idea. Yeah, we went to play d5 anyway. There was some game played here. This bishop got totally kind of misplaced and blocked up even. For example, that's how the game went, and this bishop was just totally out of the game. And black even went h5, yeah, to push typical move against this knight placement. And black was already more than fine here. So this English attack. What about other move? Bishop e3 immediately. Then we can still go for this queen b6 move. If they go a3, yeah, trying to cannot take, yeah, traps the queen. We can jump with the knight here. And the best move actually is bishop c1 for white, not to blunder the pawn. Otherwise, we can go after this bishop and play something like this. With good play, we want to even trade it at some moment. So after queen b6, if bishop c1, then we fight for the center and we get good play like this. So that was the sidelines, yeah, if white plays f3 and this English attack. Okay, that basically covers, yeah, my little survey of Czech Pirc Defense. But maybe as a conclusion, I can say you could play this, you could try out this even against d4 or other moves. I would maybe suggest you look out more at Old Indian setup, but you can experiment like in Blitz Rapid, even Trying Czech Pirc against other moves than first e4. At amateur level, it should work. Yeah, I don't think. For example, here you could still play this a bit crazy queen a5, yeah, move, intending still lay e5 and so on, like this, yeah, and try to get some kind of old Indian. But you can check that chapter more if you like to look at those setups. Okay, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next videos. Bye bye.